All right, we are live. This is Stop What's Stopping You, day two. Here we go. Let me make sure my remote's working. Here we go, day two. So please make sure that you are on mute and also that your video is turned off just to save the bandwidth for the video and the rest of those things. Hope you guys are ready to rock and roll today because we're going to have some incredible things happening that you're going to learn. And hopefully the technology works. Funny thing, I'll tell you real quickly, is that yesterday I forgot to record. And so I had to go back and re-record the entire call yesterday. But it's funny when that happens. First you don't want to do it because it's like irritating or whatever. And it turns out it always works out better. Same thing with how would love respond years ago is that I used to write and save every 2 pages. And I got like 40 pages in writing one day. I was just into it, and all of a sudden the computer glitched and erased all 40 pages, and I had to go back and write it again, and it actually turns out to be better. So there's a lesson in that. So here we go. Stop What's Stopping You, day two. There we go. So Stop What's Stopping You Masterclass series, the formula for creating everything and anything that you want today. That's what we're going to be working on. And also, how do you create real lasting change? So you can see today's going to be super valuable and super crazy what you're going to learn today. It's awesome. And, it's scientific, guys. You put it into action, you're guaranteed the results. First, a couple of testimonials really quickly. This one I love. And it says, when I first met you, I felt like my life was no longer going anywhere in that meeting. It didn't take long before I sensed that your genuineness as a person and the passion that you have to help people. The next morning, I was amazed at how quickly depressive thinking lifted, and then I experienced the most incredible day. I love, by the way, reading these. It's not just for you, it's for me. Next, it's an honor to have you coach me in the most important game of all time, the game of life. The change in my thinking response pattern was amazing. I was now experiencing self-confidence that I can't recall ever having before. And that's Mark. Here's one from the former CEO of Seagate. Thank you for an incredible experience that ranks up there with other life events, like getting married, watching children being born, and winning sporting titles. I love that one. And then this one, by the way, it's actually a 2-pager. It's quick though. Just came in today. And so I had to put it up there because it just, it is why I do what I do, and I love it all. It says, hey, Keurig, I got inspired recently to read your book again and just finished it. Words cannot express the brilliance and completeness of your book and the emotions it leaves me with. Reading again some 10 years later has brought your teachings and revelations to another dimension. I will be getting a copy for my daughter to pass on the wisdom. Thank you, Keurig, for the courage to share your journey. The ripple effect is vast and wide. What an amazing feeling to know you have influenced so many lives. And the second part of it that he says is, I know you would appreciate knowing the following. After completing your book, I hugged my partner and told her that if she ever wanted to leave me for whatever reason, I would be okay with it, as I would want her to be happy, and that her happiness is always my first priority. I would be grateful for all the love that we shared, and she could go with my blessings. I would never want her to stay with me out of obligation, just purely by choice. That's when you know you really love somebody, I feel. As you might expect, she assured me that she is happy right where she is, and that the love that she has for me, etc. It was a powerful moment for me, and your last chapter prompted me to say that. And Sam, and I've known Sam a long time, and I love hearing that. So here we go. My remote control, by the way, is not working, so I'm scrambling to change slides. Here we go. So today, here's the agenda for today, is the formula for creating everything that you want and real lasting change. Tomorrow, we're going to workshop and action plan all that we're learning here on the call. You're also going to find out what's stopping you, the biggest thing that's stopping you, and how you can change it in minutes, and then more support from me on how do you achieve your grand dream goals. Today, Stop What's Stopping You masterclass, and we're going to recap yesterday. And there's again a method to my madness. Let's get some participants in here, so let's let them in. Yep. There we go. I'm working all the buttons. I'm loving it. Stop What's Stopping You. So here's the recap. Yesterday, we found out that it's all based in real science. And that's what I love about this. It's not special. It's not lucky. It's not, for gifted people or anything else like that. Anybody and everybody who puts it into effect is guaranteed the results. And it is the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect, for every result or outcome that you want, there is an action or series of actions that produces that. So the great part about this, guys, is that, again, it's a mindset that you can adopt for yourself, is that when you know that everything is based in cause and effect, it's a law. By the way, laws can't be broken. Like the law of gravity, as an example. Everybody understand the law of gravity? The funny part is I've seen a lot of people on Saturday night after heavy drinking, they don't understand the law of gravity and they fall on their face. But the law of gravity basically states that anything that's heavier than air on the Earth's surface will be pulled to the Earth's surface through the law of gravity. And in the universe, we got it. Well, the law of gravity can work for you or can work against you. It just depends on how you utilize the law. So as an example, if we all climb up to a 10-story building and jump off, well, we're all going to pay the price, and there it didn't work for us very well. But if you have a heavy thing on top of that 10-story roof and you want to get it down, or if you pushed it off, it's going to go down to the ground automatically, and there it's working for you. So the laws can work for you or against you. It just depends on how you utilize those laws. But the cool thing about the law of cause and effect is that if you look at any one of the goals that you want to achieve, and you just say, hey, Cure states really clearly that there's a law of cause and effect, that something will produce this, either an action or a series of actions. So then you change your mindset to start looking for what actions will actually produce that result that you want. It's a game changer. And so cause and effect, in this masterclass series, you're going to be learning strategies that will get you to be consistent at taking effective actions. And by the way, those aren't actions, those are effective actions. As we discussed yesterday, whenever you see the IVE at the end of a word like that, it means that it produces the result of what's in front of the IVE. So creative thinking, those are thoughts that create. Effective actions are actions that produce the effect, or also known as the result. So there are more specific actions than just actions. And that's because people often confuse activity with movement. I don't really care about the activity. Matter of fact, I'd rather do less activity and create more results. Doesn't that sound better? So instead of just asking yourself about what actions should I take towards my goals, is really ask yourself, what effective actions am I taking today? Because when you ask a more specific question, you're going to get more specific answers, and those answers are more specific strategies that are going to produce the result that you want. Very well. Yesterday, we talked about how do you strike gold from this program. Well, number one, can everybody please put yourself on mute? Let me see if I can real quickly. I'm turning on. Sorry about that, guys. It's all right. So there we go. I think I muted everybody. Hopefully I'm not muted. No, I'm not muted. Okay, so how do you strike gold? That number one, you have to understand what I'm working on, what I'm teaching you guys, and it has to make sense to you, right? There's been so many teachings. I'll give you a great story on this. Is years ago, I wanted to learn guitar. And so I was in the laundromat in those days, and I tore one of those little, you got the bunch of pieces of paper, somebody's phone number on it, and I rip it off, saying guitar lessons. And so when the guy shows up, it should have warned me a little bit about my guitar teacher, because he showed up and there was 2 strings missing off his guitar. And I asked him about it, and he said, well, they broke and I can't really afford to replace them. I should have sent them packing at that moment. But anyways, I said to him, I said, look, teach me guitar as if I've never even seen the instrument before. So don't assume I know anything. Walk me through right from the very beginning, like, why is there a hole in the middle of the wood and the rest of those things. And so in this first lesson, he starts talking about progression. And I said, okay, why do you progress there in the song? And he goes, well, everybody knows that. You just do it. Well, anyways, that did get him sent packing because I didn't understand it. He may have known how to play guitar, but he didn't know how to teach guitar. No, by the way, those are different skill sets. So one of my skill sets that I've developed in life is, how do you become successful? How do you change your life? How do you get out of procrastination? How do you succeed in business? Those are different skill sets I've created or learned. And then the other ones would be is how do you break it down into a teachable, learnable strategy so that it works for everybody? And that's what this program is about. Also, there's got to be a step-by-step plan because you can give people the conceptual learning, but that doesn't mean they know what to do. And then it has to work, right? So as I've been telling you from day one, this is based on the laws of physics and cause and effect, that when you put it into action, you're guaranteed the results because that's cause and effect. And then you have to put this into consistent, effective action. And as you see on the side there, this is where most people get stopped. They get all excited, you get all motivated, and you get all pumped up for a little while. Maybe you've been doing it, whatever that is, for a little bit, and then it kind of fades away. But see, there's a strategy and a series of strategies that will help you stay consistent and actually create what I call your success muscles. That means your success habits. And by the way, success becomes very easy when you make doing what makes you successful your habit. That makes sense, right? So here we go. Today, there's some huge bonuses. So the first big prize is that you're going to learn how to stop what's stopping you. How do you bust through procrastination? And then the other two bonuses is that you're going to learn the formula today for how do you create everything and anything that you want and create real lasting change. At my workshops, I'll tell you, I've had more people give up smoking. By the way, cigarette companies hate me, where people just go, that's it, I'm done. And they throw their cigarettes on the stage and I stomp on them and we have a whole ceremony about it. And I can't tell you how many people years later, 20 years later, say, I quit smoking at one of your programs and never went back. See, real lasting change. So here we go again. And I want you to answer again. We started with this yesterday, but it's super important, is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the lowest, what is your willingness to learn? And put it in the chat room right now. Matter of fact, I'll open up the chat so I can see it. What is your willingness to learn? On a scale of 1 to 10, I see 10's coming up already. 10, Philip, yep. Kieran, Bernie, Deb, yep. 10, 10, 10, awesome. Now here comes the big one. What is your willingness to change? So willingness to learn, remember, Bruce Lee said that the usefulness of the cup is its emptiness. Like if our cup is so filled up and we already think we know everything, and I've heard all this before, and I've seen Keurig before, and I know what he talks about, well, then you're not going to learn anything new. With change, well, in order for things to change, I must change. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what is your willingness to change? Right in the chat room right now. Philip, 10, Lorraine, 10. Yep, Kieran again, 10. Awesome. 10, 10, 10. Awesome. Fantastic. Because by the way, guys, that's when your life changes, is when we make changes to ourselves. Now, I'm not talking about wiping out your whole self and your original self and trying to start all over again, because that's probably not going to happen. But you got to remember is that's the difference, that little bit, a 1/100th of a second difference in time is the difference between first place at the Olympics and fourth place at the Olympics. Gold gets everything. They get the book deals, they get the commercial deals, they become famous, they speak in engagements. Nobody, and by the way, I've done thousands and thousands of speaking engagements. A lot of times it's with other speakers that are also on the format for that day. And I've had all kinds of gold medalists and champions and all kinds of stuff speaking at different events that I've been at, corporate ones and the rest of those things. I have never seen a fourth place person who won fourth place in the Olympics, speaking there, teaching people how you become fourth. Never. So the difference between first and fourth is very little. So making incremental changes in your life and staying consistent with those changes, it produces results that are mind-blowing, awe-inspiring, rock your world great. So I love that you guys are putting 10s in there, and let's play the game. Remember, as I said, in order for things to change, I must change first. The world is not going to come find you and give you all the rewards that you want. The universe is not going to come figure out what your vibration is and then bring you all the goodies. You have to put in to get out. Makes sense, right? So in order to do that, when I make changes, I can change my frequency on how I'm operating. I can change the actions that I'm doing. I can even change my mindset. And with that, all of a sudden, different things start showing up. You know, I will tell you personally, whenever I decide what I call turn the engines on, you know, I'm like focused on doing something, all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. This seems like it's not connected, but it's very connected. All of a sudden work starts coming in and offers start coming in. People start wanting coaching, the rest of those things. There's been times in my life, like back in my Hollywood career, when I was an actor, where I started kind of getting fed up with being in the movie industry. It's not really what I wanted anymore. And the funny part about that is and by the way, not only did I work in front of the camera, I've also done over 500 film productions behind the camera. I was a key and dolly grip. I was the assistant to a director for 13 years and the rest of those things. As soon as I kind of got that feeling in my system that this, you know, this is not really what I want to do anymore. Now, it wasn't definitive yet, but I started having those feelings, and all of a sudden the work dried up. Nobody was hiring me anymore, even behind the camera. That's because I got myself on a different frequency. And as soon as I let go of the movie industry, because I was always coaching, I was always speaking, but it was more of a sideline in those days. It was something I was very passionate about. But my main line was, you know, my main way of making income in the rest of those days was the movie industry. As soon as I let go of that and I got focused on what I was passionate about, it was like a rocket ride with my career. But if you're noticing, what I'm talking about is me making changes in myself. Not that all of a sudden I got lucky and stuff started coming my way. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and preparation comes from working on yourself. So here we go. Yesterday we discussed the 3 musts that will guarantee success. And I love that word, guarantee. Here they are: mindset, skill sets, and follow through. You have to have the right mindset. And I said this yesterday, maybe you're motivated, fantastic. Maybe you're inspired, awesome. You know, maybe you're pumped up, awesome. Maybe you got a positive mind, all that stuff. That's great. I don't know if that's the whole mindset. I'm going to tell you, it's probably not. The real mindset that we're talking about, and by the way, this is not something I'm telling you. This comes from all the studies. From people that I've studied and people that I've hung out with, and Sylvester Stallone and John Travolta and President Clinton and all these people that I've been so lucky to work with and around, is that they have the right mindset. And that mindset is that I'm coachable, I'm teachable, I'm open to learning, I invest in myself, and I'm the person that when you show me how to do it, I will do it. That's the mindset. And I will also tell you, one of those things that I regularly see in biographies, autobiographies, when I'm working with people, when I'm interviewing people, friends that I know, celebrities, business leaders, rest of those things, one of the number one comments that I hear regularly from people is, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it anyways. Now, if you listen to that, there's a decision in that. And there's a mindset that frees you of having to know how you're going to do all this. Instead, you're just deciding it's going to be done anyways. And when you make that decision, you have that mindset, the how to do it starts to show up. Next, we have to develop new skill sets, right? So, you know, you can't be the person with the same skill sets before and think that different things are going to happen. So I said yesterday with how would love respond, is not only did I learn how to write by hiring a wordsmith to teach me how to structure my thoughts. And the funny part about that is when I first brought her on board, what happened is that it was taking me like 3 months to write one chapter. And then I would send it off to her. She would make the edits to it, send it back to me, and I had to make the corrections on those edits or look at them and see if I wanted to keep them or not, then send it back to her. And this was a process going back. Well, as she had that first chapter, I'm writing chapter number 2, and this process keeps going on. Well, pretty soon, it wasn't that long where pretty soon I was writing 3 chapters a week. And she's like, how are you doing that? She's like, but there's very little corrections here for me anymore. Well, what I was doing was I was developing new skill sets on what she was doing, and I started developing them myself. So I was, instead of just editing, I was paying attention to what she was teaching me by her edits and the way she did those things. And I developed those skill sets. And then pretty soon I'm cranking through writing the book by developing new skill sets. But I also learned publicity, publishing, marketing, online campaigns. How do you get yourself on talk shows, so you can promote yourself, and radio shows, things like that. And that's why within 4 hours of the publishers giving me their green light to release the book for sale, it went #1 on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, hit 15 bestsellers lists. And here it is. The book's been out like 11 years already, and it still sells in bestseller numbers. It's crazy. That's because I've developed skill sets, not only to publish and produce the book. And that was another thing. I wound up buying the rights back from the publishers and had to learn how to publish a book myself, all of it. And so I developed a publishing company. So as you see, it's skill sets. And then next is follow through, which is easy because the fortune's always in the follow through. And remember, this is all science, right? Cause and effect. Put it into action, you're guaranteed the results. And we're talking about holistic success, which means life success, having success in all areas of your life. So whenever I mention the word success, it's not just about the accumulation money. It's about, yes, having the wealth in your life, having the happiness, having the health and fitness, having the relationship, having the quality time with your kids and all the rest of those things. So everything that we're working on works in all areas because there's only one formula for success. And again, it's not my formula. It comes from studying people who are successful in different areas of life and then studying unsuccessful people. And you can see the difference. It's not the person. It's the formula that they're using consistently. It's the operational program that they're using. And so, by the way, the formula for failure is don't use the formula for success. And today I'm going to teach you the formula for success. So how do you create everything and anything that you want in your life, including real lasting change? And by holistic success, I'm going to tell you very clearly, it's not biased. It's not prejudiced. It's not racist. It's not just for lucky people or special people. It's certainly not for people with a special chromosome. And since there isn't a 13th zodiac sign, I mean, I keep hearing people trying to add some new zodiac signs. There's always some new fad coming out, but that's not how you produce holistic success. Everybody and anybody who puts into action what I'm going to teach you today is guaranteed the results. And people that I coach and people that I've helped and people that I've worked with and people come to my programs, they're from all walks of life. And guess what? They all produce the results. And I love that. Here we go. And yesterday we talked about the 3 keys that have to be put in place. And guys, this is not filler content. I'm going over this again because Jim Rohn, one of the masters, one of the forefathers of personal development. And if you ever get a chance to study Jim Rohn, you definitely, he passed away a few years ago, but man, his legacy lives on. He said that all learning, it comes from consistent implication of it, putting in over and over that, the more times you put it in, it starts really to take hold. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but I'm giving you the truth. Repetition is the mother of all skill. This is his exact quote. Is the mother of all learning and skill. Repetition. And so that's what we're doing right now is there's repetition so that you're creating more and more brain cells with this imprinted on it, because the truth is you don't want to learn this. You want to master it. You want it to be your way of communicating, your way of thinking, your way of operating, because when you do, your life changes. So it's a decision. It's not a should. Oh, I should do this. I should do what Keurig's telling me. I should get some coaching. I should get some help. I should quit smoking. I should. Most people just wind up shoulding all over themselves. Nothing changes. Instead, it has to be a must. I must do this. I have to do this. Because by the way, guys, just so you know, because people say, well, Keurig, use these examples. Like if your life was on the line or somebody's life was on the line, would you do it? But my life's not on the line. Actually, it is. Your youth is on the line. All your goals and dreams are on the line. And by the way, is whatever you're doing, you're passing on to your kids and your grandkids and the rest of those things, because your kids learn from watching you what you do more than what you tell them to do. Have you ever noticed that? There's things my dad, he would say certain things, and he'd say stuff like, while you're under my roof, you'll live under my rules. And I'm like, I will never say that until you find yourself saying it. And you're like, oh no, I've turned into my dad. Right. Well, the thing is, I get it now, but when I was younger and stuff, I don't get it. So you learn through do what other people are doing more than what they're telling you to do. So we're passing it on to other people around us, and certainly our family and our kids and the rest of those things. So it's got to be a must. And, use the worst case scenario you can think in your life, that if I don't do this, if I don't move towards my goals and dreams, what's it going to cost me? What am I going to pay and emotionally, and goals that won't be achieved and dreams that won't be fulfilled? And, what am I teaching other people? All of a sudden, man, that pain, that perceived pain, can launch you into making a decision to change your life. C stands for, sorry, I'm going back through my slides here. All of a sudden, my remote's working. The power to make a decision. 2 steps. Number 1, I am done. I'm done. You got to get to the place you go, I'm done. I'm done being fat. I'm done being lonely. I'm done being poor. I'm done being broke. I'm done being depressed. I'm done being whatever it is. You got to get to the place where you go, I'm done. Real easy to make a decision then. I'm done. And then the second part is you got to get to the place where you just let it go. Because when you're done with it, you got to let it go. And you got to let go of all the stuff that you're perceiving that people have done wrong to you or hurt you, or maybe things you've done yourself. You got to let it go. Let go and let God. It's biblical. What that means is let the universe do its job. Just let it go. Buddha talked about detachment. Let it go. Because when you let it go, you're free to fly. It's a Keurigism. It's, by the way, I didn't come up with the term Keurigism. Somebody created a website called Keurigisms. It's my little catchphrases and things that I've said over the years, or coined phrases. And that is, in order to fly, you have to let go of the world that you're hanging on to. You got to let it go. Let it go. And then it's easy to make decisions, but it's very difficult to make decisions unless you let go of the stuff that is holding you down, holding you back. Anything that we hold on to creates gravity and drags us down. You can't fly. And by the way, when I was reading a testimonial from Sam that I got today from How Would Love Respond, and he talks about sharing with his partner that if she wants to leave, that that he loves her and he's grateful for all that he had, so that it's not about possession, it's about unconditional love. And the response that came back, she says, I love you more than ever. And it's a great relationship. See, you got to let it go. So how do you make a decision? We talked about this yesterday, and it's a game changer. And that is, you got to think to create, but you got to feel to decide. So remember, creative thinking is how we produce new things. Thoughts into actions produce results as the formula for all creation. Yet in order to make a decision, you got to feel it, because you'll never do yourself wrong if you just feel the answer. So one of the strategies that I work with people on is that, go in a quiet room, get yourself in a good emotional place, and ask yourself, what does a yes feel like? What does a yes answer feel like to me? And just notice it. Just be observant. And then go, what does a no answer feel like to me? And you go, well, that feels a little different. And just be observant. And start to learn how to listen to your inner voice and those feelings. Every decision I make these days is based on feelings. not thoughts. It's the thought that gets you in trouble when you're making a decision, because what happens is you start ping-ponging yourself. Well, here's the pro, here's the con, here's the good part, here's the part that doesn't work out. How do you make a decision from that? It's harder. But if I just go with the feeling, your feeling is your spirit. It will never do you wrong. But always make a decision from a good emotional place, because if you make it from a bad emotional place, that feeling can be tainted by the emotion that you're in, if that makes sense. Next, it's commitment. And by commitment, we mean being consistent, right? Because nobody goes to the gym once and works out and thinks you're buff for the rest of your life. It's what you do consistently that is the game changer. And so that means you have to be committed to your decision every day. Like if you say, I'm a non-smoker, that's it, I'm done, I'm not touching another cigarette. Every day you got to stay committed to that decision and reaffirm that commitment every day. But that's what your I am statements are all about. And that's what your affirmations are about. That's what reading your goals are all about. Keep putting in through consistent spaced repetition those thoughts in your head, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. You might want to write that down. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. And by the way, your thoughts, that's how you communicate with yourself. So when you keep putting in the quality communication, the response, remember, thoughts into actions produce results. It's going to get you to act differently, which is going to get you to produce different results. So reaffirm those decisions every day, and maybe multiple times during the day. One of the strategies that I love is that, you take your goals and your, what I call your morning power questions and things like that, and, print it up, laminate it, and then hang it in your shower, put it in your shower somewhere. Hopefully you take a shower every day so you can see it. And when you see it, read it, and read it with passion and enthusiasm. Well, there it is. I'm taking a shower, and yet I'm doing positive things for myself that are dictating new thoughts, new consistent, powerful thoughts. And man, you want to watch your life change. Imagine reading your goals every day with passion and enthusiasm, and, which I highly recommend, and that you have a consistent way of doing that. And I stands for investment. You got to put in to get something out. You got to plant seeds in order to get food. You can't eat the food, then take the seeds from the food you just ate and plant that, and then it will grow the plant or tree that just produced the fruit that you ate. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we got to put in first. And again, as we talked about yesterday, the way I look at the word investment, it's right there in the word, INVESTMENT. I invest in me. It's the best investment you'll ever make, is investing in yourself. And you're doing it today by being on this call. So it's not always about money. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes you got to pay for a course or coaching or whatever that is. I got it. But man, that's way better than going down to the bar and buying more booze, which, by the way, a lot of governments here in Australia, they gave out money for COVID to people. The number one thing it was spent on was alcohol, not investing in yourself. And you wonder why people's lives got worse, during the whole COVID drama. People became abusive in relationships when they were never abusive before. Alcoholism went through the roof, or even people who weren't alcoholics before. Instead, you could have taken that money and invested in your future. You could have taken that time, like the time where, lockdown was happening. I love that time at my son where I could invest in him, in his education. Man, he went back to school after lockdown was over and started getting A's and B's because of me putting that investment in with them. See? So it depends on the way you're looking at life. But from this point forward, you should say, you know what? I'm investing in myself every day. Every day I'm going to invest in myself, because that's what's going to make my life better. Remember, in order for things to change, I must change. And there's going to be no change unless you invest in yourself. And again, it's consistently, not once. And we looked at yesterday, consistent daily improvement. So the bottom red line, that's, the kind of life you're living right now. The line on the left side that says 100% at the top, that's the amount of growth that it represents. And then you'll see 1% by just 1% growth. Now, by the way, I'm not, restricting you to only 1%. I'm just saying if it's only 1% and you stay consistent at doing that 1% over and over again daily, well, look at that trajectory line. It puts you on a whole new path. You won't even recognize your old life. And here's kind of where coaching comes in. And I explain this to people when they first start coaching with me or in the Life Success Club or the Success Inner Circle, is that the bottom line, as we're starting to go on this upward trajectory, that bottom line has a thing called gravity connected to it. And it starts pulling us back. So again, remember we talked about people set their goals or New Year's resolutions, they start doing it, and then all of a sudden they kind of get pulled off of it, and a lot of them don't get back to it. Has it ever happened to you? Right? Well, with coaching, one of my jobs is to hold you accountable and keep nudging you back up on that line until that line becomes your habit. And then all of a sudden, that trajectory becomes yours for the rest of your life. That's powerful. And if you look at this, you'll see that if you stay on that path, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, a decade, it's unbelievable what you produce. You won't even recognize yourself. Matter of fact, it even becomes hard to associate with your past self because you remember it, but you don't really connect to it anymore. And you don't need to. You just know that it's there. And that's been my life. It's been, and by the way, yes, there's times you have fluctuations in it and it's not always perfect, but guess what? Imagine if you look at that 1% and the next day you improved yourself by another 1%. Well, that's not 1% growth off the bottom line. It's 1% off of the line that you're now on. And so consistent daily improvement means that we're stacking on top of each other. We're compounding the growth. We're compounding the real lasting change. We're compounding the goals and dreams that we're producing. It's crazy what you're going to produce just by being consistent. And the strategy, well, this is, again, something that you definitely want to remember, and that is most people overestimate what they can do in the short term. They go to the gym, they get all worked up, and then they never go back again because they hurt so bad. But they underestimate what they can do in the long term by being consistent. And that magic strategy that we talked about yesterday, which is a game changer, a life changer, and it's so powerful, and people go, can't be that simple. Well, I'm asking you, what law that you know in physics, is there a law that says that in order for change to happen, or for the great things to happen in my life, that it's got to be hard? My father, who I love, he was my hero. My father used to say, son, you want to succeed in life, you got to keep your nose to the grindstone. Okay, grinding your face off. I don't know how that's a good strategy. By the way, it sounds painful to me. He also said that, you want to succeed in life, you got to work hard. Okay. My father worked hard his whole life. Remember, whatever you put in, you get out. And all he got out of it was a hard life. Because how is working hard all the time ever going to produce easy or fun or enjoyable or loving? It can't. If you plant tomatoes, you get tomatoes. You don't get corn. You don't get flowers. You get tomatoes. Whatever you plant is whatever you grow. You keep putting in hard life, you keep getting a hard life. You keep putting in hard work, you get a hard life. I wound up doing it easier. And I'm not saying what I'm going to say to you next to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you, because remember, I used to be homeless. I used to live in my car. I've done all kinds of things in my life. In 1 year, I made more money than my father made in all 78 years of his life combined. Like I said, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you that if I can do it, anybody can do it. But also there's a different strategy working out there. And I did it where I still have fun. And my dad used to say, but you're so lazy. But my dad didn't understand it's not being lazy. I want to enjoy my life right now. Because I will tell you that on average, when a person retires from their job, they die within 6 hours, or 6 years, because they have no purpose anymore. Or they go one day, someday, like when I retire, I'm going to do all this great stuff I want to do. And then you die before you get in all the good stuff. I want to enjoy it now, and I want to be successful. So by asking this question, how can I make it better? How can I make my finances better today? How can I improve the quality of my health and fitness today? How can I make better my relationship with my partner or my kids or even myself? Man, you get answers. Those are strategies. Put those strategies into action. You're guaranteed the results. So be consistent at using CDI, because make being successful your habit. Success is easy when you make it your habit. And remember to just enjoy yourself and build your success muscles. I know I repeated this slide. It's because it's that invaluable. It's that valuable to understand that, people think that, I've had so many people say, hey, Keurig, I'd love to come to your office to see you in action all day, to watch what a top success coach and a person, with a very successful business like yours is like. And I go, you know what? You'd be bored out of your mind, because I don't actually work that hard. I enjoy myself. I have a beautiful partner. I have live on a beautiful farm on the Sunshine Coast of Australia, which is amazing. I have an amazing son. I have a 10-year-old son. He's everything to me. To me, spending time with the people I love and taking care of myself is way more valuable than working hard. So what I've done is the things that make me successful, I've made them a habit. And then I teach other people how to do the same thing. And that's why not only, during the time that they coach with me, are they producing results, afterwards for the rest of their life, that keeps happening and they keep producing more and more results. Why? Because they've made it their habit. Make it yours. And last but not least is get help to be held accountable. Don't let yourself try to be your own accountability, because even myself, it's too easy to let yourself off the hook. It's too easy to go be distracted by things. Now, by the way, just so you know, is on my phone, on my computer and those things, I don't have notifications that people like my pictures on Facebook or social media or whatever, because they're all distractions. And yet I do have coaches, and they hold me accountable. They check in to make sure that whatever I said I'm going to do that week, that I get done. And so find somebody that you trust, find somebody that you respect, find somebody that has the results that you want. All those things are important. Like, I don't want to get coaching on, let's say, internet marketing, and the person does like $100,000 a year in sales. That's great. God bless them. But I have a coach that did $66 million in one campaign. I want to learn those strategies. So they have the results. And as I talked about yesterday, is also learn how to separate the teacher from the teachings. If there's other parts of a person's life that you don't like, but they have certain results that you want, learn how to get those results from them and leave the rest alone. Go find those other parts from somebody else if you need them. Make sense? Here we go. Time to rock and roll, right? Here comes the formula for creating everything that you want and real lasting change. Who's excited? If you're excited about learning it, go in the chat room, say, I am excited. Or did I lose y'all? Everybody leave me. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking to myself. But get in the chat room right now, say, I'm excited. Here we go. Tanya's excited. I love it. John saying everything is constantly changing. Awesome. 10, bring it. I'm hearing it. I am excited. Excited. Thanks, John. All right, here we go. These are the 7 key points that you need to create real lasting change and everything that you want in your life. This is called the formula for success. Number 1 is you have to reinvent yourself. This is game on. Remember, personal development, developing yourself into being a new, better version of yourself. Can't be your old self and think that new things are going to change. We got to make changes to ourselves. And like I said, when you change how you are and who you are and how you're operating, you literally change your frequency that you're on. And in the law of physics, the law of vibration says that everything's vibrating. It's all in motion. The law of frequency says that all those things that are vibrating are vibrating at different frequencies. The law of harmony of frequencies, that anything that's on that same frequency, they will be attracted to each other. So that's also known as the law of attraction. Easy to understand is, do you have a mobile phone? Do you have a mobile phone? Well, you'll notice that when you get a mobile phone, they actually give you a phone number. Well, that phone number is actually the frequency of your unit, your phone, so that when other people dial that number, they're dialing the frequency to your specific phone so that they can have a conversation with you. Does it make sense? Or if you're listening to the radio, now sometimes people go, God, Kirk, you are old, because I'm talking about, turning the radio dial, not even have a dial. But anyways, in the old days, we used to turn the radio dial, to a certain frequency. And radio stations will give you the frequency number so that you know where to find them in the frequency. Now think about this for a second. AM and FM radio, right? Those are different frequency bands. So they're like master frequencies. And then all the stations in that are sub-frequencies of the master frequency. But by the way, you can't find AM stations on FM frequencies because you're on the wrong frequency. Also, universe, uni meaning one, verse meaning vibration, the master vibration of everything, and everything in it are sub vibrations of the real thing, of the main thing, the whole thing, right? Well, when you get on that same frequency, whatever on that frequency you receive, just like the radio. So if you don't like country western, don't smash the radio, change the frequency. We all know that. And you do, and you get different music, talk back, whatever you're looking for, it's on there. Well, change the frequency of yourself and you start attracting different things to yourself automatically. And when it comes time to reinventing yourself, there's the three things that have to happen is the mindset, skill sets, and follow through. That's how you reinvent yourself. Develop a new mindset. I'm teachable. I'm learnable. I'll learn this stuff. I'm coachable. I'm moldable. I'll put into action when you teach me. I invest in myself, develop some new skill sets and follow through. And the last part of that is, and this is critically important, is that you got to learn how to manage how you think and feel differently. Manage how you think and feel differently than the masses, and manage how you think and feel differently than even your old self. Because I'll tell you what, that's the only thing we have power on. That's the only thing we have control over, is to decide how we think and feel about certain things. You can't change the events of your life. They are what they are. You can't change COVID. You can't change the global financial crisis. You can't change people cheating on you or leaving you or whatever it is. But it's all going to come down to, what do you do with it? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to get all, somebody breaks your heart and leaves you? Are you going to load up a gun and go kill them? Well, that's great. Now you spend life in prison. For what? They weren't coming back to you. I have a person, I know a person close to me, I won't tell you who it is, because I'm not telling you this to embarrass them, is they were dating somebody for a long time. They tattooed their name in ink on their arm, which, by the way, I know a lot of tattooists, obviously. It's like a rule, never put somebody's name in ink, because it sabotages the relationship somehow. But anyways, it wasn't that long after he got the tattoo that she broke up with him. And what he did was he took a pair of shears and tried to cut the tattoo out, gave himself like 50 stitches. And I said to him, dude, did you think acting like a maniac, she's going to want to come back to you? Like, oh God, that guy who's looking like a psycho, I want that. Never going to happen. So you got to manage how you think and feel differently, because when you do, you'll respond differently. Remember, the formula for creation is thoughts that get put into actions, produce results. But we got to manage how we think and feel, and they're one and the same. Because if you don't change the way you think, you won't feel differently. And if you don't work on your emotions, you won't have those proper thoughts. And once again, I'm going to say this again and again and again, and that is, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. Well, you're not going to communicate differently if you keep thinking and feeling bad. Make sense? And by the way, to be able to manage that differently, that's what we're learning here on the program. That's certainly what I teach through my coaching and all my programs, is this. Because when you think and feel differently, you respond differently. And respond means to act. And when you take new actions, you get new what? Anybody? Anybody in the chat room? What do you get? Take new actions, you get? Come on, who's going to answer it first? Results. Thanks, Sarah. So Sarah, what I'd like you to do is, if you like, just because you're the first one to take action, is, and well, I see John in there too, so I might have to tie you guys. You guys came in together at the time zone on that. And that is, if you send me an email at Keurig@keurigashley.com, you can choose a copy of How Would Love Respond, the hardcover, the ebook, or the audio version. And if you've already have it, then you can pass it on to somebody else. How's that? Because you know what? I reward people who take action. And for everybody else, thanks everybody else, Phil, everybody else. So we got to reinvent ourselves. Next is successful people. We set GDGs, also known as grand dream goals. Now, let me discuss this for a moment. Grand dream goals don't necessarily need to be big. They don't need to be expensive. They can be, but that's not the criteria. Grand dream goals are the goals that give you the most amount of joy to experience. Those are your grand dream goals. And successful people, and I mean, again, holistically successful people, we don't go after small, piddly goals. Why? Well, because small, piddly goals don't inspire you. You're not empowered. You're not excited about them. You're certainly not passionate about them. One of the worst goals that I ever hear people, and I hear this so regular, it's, it's just nonstop, which is, I have a goal that I want to make a certain amount of money so I can pay off all my debt. That goal sucks. Why does it suck? Well, because if you pay off your debt, you're just paying off old stuff you already have, old experiences you've already done. You get nothing new. And since you didn't go for abundance, you just wanted to pay off your debt. Well, now you're at zero on your way back into debt. That's not a good goal. Or people say, my goal is I want to write a book. Well, guess what? I'm a #1 international bestseller. My goal was never to write a book. My goal was to be a #1 international bestseller. Hear the difference in that? Now, you might think that sounds like the same thing. It's not. Because what did I really want to experience? Well, I didn't want to write a book that I had a garage full of books that nobody's read except for your mom, and she's like, there's people on American Idol or whatever, where your mom tells you you're the best singer in, history or whatever, and then you get on the show and embarrass yourself. Well, the thing is that I wanted people to read it, because the only way that it would help people change their lives is if they read it and applied it. Well, that would mean I'd have to get out there and learn how to market it. So that was my goal, was to be an international #1 best-selling author. And man, like I said, every day I get cards and letters from people, email, posts, all these things, people in person, tell me how amazing How Would Love Respond is, and how it changed their life, and how they've given books to people and their family and friends, and how that's changed their life. That's what I wanted. So that's the real experience. That's why you want grand dream goals. And not only that, is goals, what goals do is they force us into growth, which would be reinventing yourself, personal development. Because in order to get grand dream goals, you have to work on yourself. You have to come up with new strategies. You got to learn how to ask better questions. You got to ask for help instead of trying to do it by yourself, because only weak people don't ask for help. Successful people ask for help. That's how they get it. But just because you think you're going to tell somebody your sob story, that you think people are going to help you, they don't want to help you then. Matter of fact, they don't even want to listen to you because they feel bad. Instead, you can tell them what your problem is, but tell them unemotionally, and then say, can I get your help on this? And you'd be in awe how many people want to help you. But also within yourself, it forces you into growth. Well, if you're going for small, piddly goals, you don't really need to reinvent yourself very much. You don't got to work on yourself very much, because it's just a small, piddly goal. But a grand dream goal is going to force you into growth. And so it's never really about achieving the goal. It's always about the growth that it produces, because this new version of you is going to produce grander things than you've ever done in your life. And you never shrink back to the original version of yourself once you expand. So set grand dream goals. Next, take immediate and consistent, effective action. This one statement has a lot to it. Take immediate action. Never set a goal that you don't take immediate action on right now. Don't put it on the back burner and say, I'll get to it later. You won't. And it fades away, because guess what? Life's busy. Kids and business and work and all those things, it gets busy and it gets in the back burner. I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it the next day. And pretty soon you don't. Take immediate and consistent, effective action. And tomorrow I'm going to work with you on, when we workshop all this stuff, I'm going to teach you exactly the exact strategies to do all this. Right now, I'm giving you the formula and the power of it. But I'll tell you, if you're asking yourself the question, what consistent, effective actions am I going to take today? Or what effective actions am I going to take today? Well, that question, because it's very specific, you're not just talking about action, you're talking about effective actions. Well, imagine if every day you asked yourself that and you put it into action, how much farther, how fast you're going to get to your goals by taking effective action towards them every day. And they're consistent. Remember, CDI, consistent daily improvement. And I will tell you, when I work with my clients, people in the Life Success Club and things, you know, they wind up achieving way grander goals with way less activity, way less action. And they go, this is incredible. I did way less than I thought I had to do, and I produced way bigger results. How's that sound to you? Well, that's what happens when you take consistent, effective actions and you don't put it on the back burner. Next, test and measure. You got to test and measure. Lift your face up off the path that you're on, whatever that is, and look around to see, am I going in the right direction? Do I need to make some adjustments, some strategies to what I'm doing to get me there? But by the way, all this twist and turning stuff that you have to do, that's all part of the journey. And you learn things and you meet people, and there's all kinds of stuff that you use later on in life. So nothing's wasted. Kind of like sailing. You know, sailors don't want to go straight line. They want to do this. Well, that's the journey. So don't feel bad. And with companies that I work with, one of the strategies I always help them put in place that most of the time don't happen until I'm coaching them, because one of the things I do is hold people accountable. And that is to have regular strategic weekly meetings to see, where are you? What's the goals for this week? And check in where the goals from last week done, the rest of the stuff, but to lift your face up, because so many people are running so much that they're not lifting their head up, only to find out they've climbed the ladder of success, only to find out they're on the wrong wall because they didn't adjust their strategies. So test and measure. Next is network. Nobody who does it by themselves is successful. And if you are, who are you celebrating with? That sucks. I believe I have another slide on this. Oh, and if you're not networking, you're not working. That's my little curicism on it. So let me trying to get my slide thing going here. Oh. So with networking, you know, maybe it's another slide. I can't remember where it is. I never use PowerPoint. And but anyways, hey, reinventing myself, trying something new. So with networking, a couple years ago, just before COVID, I was on stage, or going to be on stage, with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Sydney, right? So I sent, which I'm just blown out of the water that I was asked to do that, to be his keynote to open for him. And so I sent information back to my friends in the States, in LA, and certainly in Hollywood. And I get a text message from Sylvester Stallone. Again, I'm not trying to impress you. I've known Sly since I was 18 years old, so that's not too crazy. And he said, come join me for lunch in Beverly Hills on Saturday. So I had to book a flight and fly to LA. As I get there, Sly has Arnold Schwarzenegger join me for lunch, just so he can meet me and get to know me. So when he comes to Sydney, that we have this connection. And talking to Arnold, or with Arnold, I tell you, one of the most present, focused, wonderful people I've ever met. Man, he's more interested in you and what you have to do than telling you about what he's done, and very focused on you, right? And he said to me, he goes, Keurig, one of the misconceptions about my life is that I'm a self-made man. He said that everybody thinks I did it on my own. He goes, there's nothing farther from the truth. He said, I've asked for help all the way along the way. Bodybuilder, best bodybuilder in the world, movie star, the governor. He had help all the way along the way. He said, only weak people don't ask for help, because if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. He goes, successful people, we act as a team and we help each other out by asking for it, and we get it. If you're not networking, you're not working. And by the way, a lot of times your network, it's not just about giving you help and strategies. A lot of times when you're down, when you're depressed, when you're feeling bad, when something goes wrong in your life, man, your network goes, pick yourself up. Don't lay down there and play dead. Get up right now, because that's the people who love you. They go, I got it. But this is not going to help you. Turn it around right now. And I have a lot of great people in my life. And one of my, in How Would Love Respond, in the last chapter, I write about my dear friend, Michael Wernicke, who one day pulled me up and got in my face about something. And then he said, I bet you don't like your own stuff being used on you. I said, no, I actually do. And that's why you're my wonderful, loving friend. You held me to a higher standard when I was going dark for a moment. That's your real friends. That's your network. Next, I put the other ones on here. Contribution. So I don't have to go through all these slides and go backwards. Contribution. You got to give out to get back. Remember, it's cause and effect. Give value, add value. Give things out. Maybe it's your energy. Maybe it's your time. Maybe it's money you got to donate. All the great spiritual texts that I've ever read talk about tithing. If you read The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, a classic. By the way, if you want to change your financial situation, read The Richest Man in Babylon. And, he talks about tithing, giving 10% away, because if you want more to come into your life, you have to give it away because it activates the law of circulation. So you got to give it away. And last but not least is called follow through. The fortune's always in the follow through. You'll see that. Now, this is the formula for success. This is the formula for creating everything that you want and real lasting change. So let's hold this up for a moment and check it out to see if it's accurate. Let's think about a woman named Oprah. Anybody hear her? Oprah Winfrey. Anybody ever hear of her before? I know she's kind of obscure. Nobody's, it's a weird example you're using. Oprah, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but Oprah is actually a Black woman, right? And the reason I say that is because, not everybody in America gets the same treatment, especially if you're a person of color. And I'm from America, I get it, but there's still a lot of racism goes on. And then women equality and the rest of those things, so, and I'm not giving you my opinion, I'm just telling you how it works. Well, guess what? Oprah was born to a woman who was like 13 years old. Oprah was molested as a child from family members. We all know this story. Oprah got herself a job as a weather girl on a local TV station, but she kept reinventing herself. And then pretty soon she was a news anchor. And then pretty soon she had her own talk show. And during the original time of her show was like Jerry Springer and Geraldo Rivera and Sally Jesse Raphael and all these things. It was a drama show, and it was paying out on people, and it was all because that's what was on TV in those days, And then on Geraldo Rivera, they had skinheads and Black people on the same show, and it turned into like a barroom brawl where the audience and the guests were all fighting. Geraldo got hit in the face with a chair. Now he's punching, people on the show. And anyways, it caused all this drama. And Oprah at that moment said, if I'm not part of the solution, I'm part of the problem. And so I will never do another show that doesn't empower people. I won't do any more of this drama. Because you see, she's reinventing herself again. Well, guess what happened to her ratings? They nosedive. Why? Because people love their drama. They're hooked on it. But Oprah had enough money to keep her show in production and keep it going herself until finally she grabbed her audience and her voice and became the most powerful woman in person in television history. As you can see, she set grand dream goals, not small piddly goals. Took immediate and consistent effective action towards her goals. She tested and measured along the way because not everything worked out, and rarely does it always work out. That's why we're testing and measuring. But like I said, there's things that you'll use later on in life, so none of it's wasted. Networking, she definitely didn't do it by herself. Contribution, who remembers this show? You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Yeah, she's constantly giving back to people. Now that she doesn't have her talk show anymore, if you watch her interviews and whatever, it's all based on what's in it for the person watching it. Not what do I want to talk about? How can I give more to you? contribution, and then follow through. So then let's focus on somebody now who's not so successful. Reinvent yourself. That doesn't happen. You know, I've given books away. I've given programs away. I've given tickets to my workshops away. People go, and they go, I really need it. Oh my God, my life's in the toilet, blah, blah. And they never show up. They never read it. They never watch the video, nothing. They go, I'm sorry, I was just too busy. Doing what? See, most people, they don't reinvent themselves. They blame the world. It's my parents, it's my teacher, it's the government, it's COVID, it's whatever it is. That's why my life where it is. They don't look at themselves to make change. Set grand dream goals. Only 3% of the population ever writes down their goals. And Confucius says, the man who aims at nothing is sure to hit it. They don't even write down their goals. And if you don't write them down, you don't have any goals. Because the first step to achieving your goals is to write them down, because you've taken them from the formless, the thought, and put it into the form. That's the hardest thing, is right there. The rest of it is just process. But that's the first step. So take immediate and consistent action. Well, they don't even write down their goals. Test and measure. Well, why would you when you don't have any goals? Network. Most people are saying I got to do it by myself so I can show everybody I can do it by myself. God bless you on that one, but lonely ride, hard ride, painful ride. Contribution. Most people say I'll give it when I have it, but you won't. Why? Because you never learned how to get in the habit of giving. And I'll tell you, when I first got to Brisbane 24 years ago, the company that brought me here left me stranded, homeless. I was actually homeless in 2 countries at the same time because I couldn't even fly home to be homeless. And I had like $20 left to my name. And by the way, that was 20 Australian dollars, which in those days, the Australian dollars were worth 52 US cents. And so what happened is that, you know, I'd be walking through Brisbane and you see these people with these little wooden collection boxes with a vest on it says, you know, seeing eye dogs for the blind or the deaf society or whatever that is. And I would put a $2 coin in their thing. And the person with me goes, you're an idiot. You get $20 left and you're giving $2 away. Why are you giving somebody else? And I said, because there's other people that need it more than I do. I have an abundant mind. I'm going to create. I get it. But there's other people out there right now, they're in need. They need it now. So I gave it. And guess what? That creates an energy. And I will tell you that the successful people that I've studied, that I've read about, man, did they give it away? And they tell you it's part of the formula. I saw an interview with a guy named Sir John Templeton, where Anthony Robbins was interviewing him. This guy's a billionaire. And Tony asked for some stock tip from him. And the guy told Tony to shut up. He said, you're not listening to what I'm saying. He goes, you got to give it away. You got to give more away. He goes, when I first got started, I'd give like $5,000 away and $25,000 would show up in my account. And I'd give $25,000 away and $500. He goes, now I give so much away, you can't bulldozer it out of the account. Give it away, contribute, and then follow through. So here we go. So today, here's the overview of today is learn how to reinvent yourself. Build your success muscles where you make them habit. Remember that in order for things to change, I must change first. The world's not going to come find you and give you all your rewards when you don't make any changes, because cause and effect will say what you're doing is producing what you're getting. Makes sense, right? So you got to do something different. And the way that we do that is have the correct mindset, which is I'm teachable. I'm open to learning. I'm going to apply it. I'm investing in myself, develop new skill sets, and follow through. Now, let me ask you, what can't you produce? What can't you achieve in your life when you have the right mindset, develop new skill sets, and you follow through on that? Everything. And as I told you guys yesterday, I train in a martial arts I have for a long time called Aikido. Now, I've never been the most physically flexible person in my life, in the world. I've had busted up knees. I've had major knee surgeries numerous times. You remember I used to do stunts in Hollywood and all those things. I've been in motorcycle accidents and all kinds of crazy stuff. And in Aikido, you know, it's about flexibility and movement. So when my sensei tells me to do something or correct it, never, ever do I ever say, I can't do that because of my knees. I always say, I'm working on that, sensei, or I'll work on that. Here's the difference in that mindset. I'll work on that. And guess what? I've gotten more physically flexible. I do stretching every day. I'm now a black belt in Aikido. It took me 10 years of consistent action because they just don't hand it to you. And by the way, I'm Keurig Ashley. You're not just handing me stuff because I'm old or I've been there a long time or whatever. I have to know that I earned it. Otherwise, I won't respect it and I'll never wear it. I earned my black belt. And that's because my mindset is that show me the way. I'll work on it. I'll do it. Then we got to learn how to manage how you think and not fell. I'll have to change that slide. Manage how you think and feel differently than the masses, and certainly different how we used to before. That is the number one key distinction between holistically successful people and the masses. And Stuart Wilde said that if you have the consciousness of the masses, you're going to wind up with the destiny of the masses. If you think like they do, you're going to act like they do, and you're going to produce what they get. We have to manage how we think and feel differently. Don't get rid of, negativity, and don't get rid of whatever stuff you think you want to get rid of. Instead of manage it, because you may not be able to get rid of it. Like people go, I want to get rid of my fear. Fear isn't a bad thing when you use it properly. My fear of living an unfulfilled life has driven me to living a very fulfilled life. So fear, when you use it differently, works for you, or it can cripple you. So, but if you manage how you think and feel about it, you use it differently and you get different results with it. Next, set your GDGs, your grand dream goals. Remember, grand dream goals aren't big or expensive. They can be. That's not the criteria. They're the goals that give you the most amount of joy to experience. Next, take immediate and consistent, effective action. Test and measure, and obviously follow through. We got all that stuff. So that's yesterday, or that's today rather. Networking. If you're not networking, you're not working. Contribution and follow through. And remember the mindset, skill sets, and follow through. So I gave you the formula for creating everything and anything that you want. Tomorrow's masterclass. Make sure you're on it, because we're going to workshop and put all this stuff into an action plan for you, where you're going to feel real results start to happen, momentum immediately, and things are going to change. And we go, can't happen that fast. Well, that's not a really intelligent thing to say from this point of view when you're not on tomorrow's class learning how you're going to create real momentum right away. And you're going to find out what's the number one thing that's stopping you at the moment, and how do you change that in only minutes, and how I can support you more in achieving your grand dream goals. So today, and I want to hear it in the chat room, John says, I created my dream board so I see the end result goals of what I want. And John, that's why you're such an awesome coach, buddy. And we speak the same language. Here we go. So what are the top 3 things that you've learned today? And again, I'm not giving this to you as homework or fluff. Hang on a second. I'll use my teeth, lips, and gums all together, and I won't buy them at Kmart next time. I'm not doing this as busy work. I'm doing this for you to keep putting in your brain. Remember, repetition is the mother of all learning and skill, Jim Rohn, right? So repetition, by going over your notes and looking at it and what we learned today, by writing it down again, man, you don't just learn it, you learn to master it and put it into effective action. So what'd you learn today? Tanya's saying, awesome session today. Thank you. Thank you, brother. I get from John. Looking forward to, so what's top 3 things? Learned a new skill set recently and really working at it. These are starting to happen. Thank you. That is awesome. I love hearing that. So write those down. The power is in the ability to make a decision. Thanks, Tanya. You have to learn the skills that a person wants to be. They're moving so fast. I'm starting to read it and they move on. I'm done. Let it go. These are awesome. Today's homework. Okay, so listen up really closely. You got homework today, and it's going to take you a whole 10 minutes. I wrote there right for you. And that is capture your grand dream goals, because tomorrow we're going to workshop this. And so instead of, me playing music as you're writing this down for 10 minutes, do it tonight. And here's the criteria of what you want to do. Don't put dates on it. Don't put any restriction on it. What I want you to do is, I call it the magic 10 minutes. Sit down, get yourself in a good emotional place, put some music on, feel great, because you want your brain making a neural association between your goals and feeling great right off the bat. This is how we start to achieve them, is we want to be anchoring that great feeling towards our goals. Does it make sense? So you put yourself in a great emotional place, and then for 10 minutes, write everything and anything that you want, no limitations. You know, as I said, I have a 10-year-old son. If you ask him what he wants, he says, I want a house with 15 bedrooms. They're all mine. I want 10 swimming pools. One's got sharks, dolphins, rocket ships. I mean, kids have no limitations. Then you grow up to be that dirty word known as an adult. And all of a sudden we start shrinking our desires because we think our incomes won't fit it. Instead, increase your incomes to fit your desires. Go pull all the stops out. By the way, we were children first so we could master it, not surrender it. The whole thing is to become a wise child, is that you get better experiences of life, but you still have that belief in you that magic happens and that you can live the beautiful life that you want to live. If you don't, you're already done. It's already over. I'm being very serious about that. It's already over. If you're already saying, you know, that's not real life. It's not happy. It's not, change it or be a victim. Be a victim or a victor. That's up to you. So write your magic 10 minutes, no limitations. I don't care what you write down. I'll tell you, if you write it down, I'm going to teach you how to have it. If you don't write it down, there's no way you're going to get it. Because remember, take immediate and consistent effective action, which is write down your goals. I'm giving you the action right now. Then what I want you to do is, after you do the whole list, circle your top 3. Now, by top 3, what I mean is the ones that you want to experience the most. If we're limited on time, which is your number one investment, is your time, because you don't get any more time back, well, you might as well go for the goals that bring you the most amount of joy to experience first, because you're going to get the most amount of joy going for those goals. And I will tell you that when people go for their grandest goals, it pulls other goals in with it to be achieved automatically. I have people go to my workshops and they come up to me a couple years later and go, man, I just found my toolbox, which is my notebook from the workshop I did with you. Everything I wrote down in the goal setting workshop, I've achieved every single one. I can't believe it. I don't remember going for some of them. That's the power of this. So write down your grand dream goals today, because we're going to workshop this tomorrow along with some other stuff. And remember, I'm going to teach you how to have what's the number one thing that's stopping you and how to change that in only minutes. So invest in yourself and be here in tomorrow's masterclass. Remember, the fortune's always going to follow through. And remember, I'm going to actually turn off this for a second so you can see me. Am I still sharing the screen? Let's not share the screen anymore. No, I don't think I am. Can you see me? I think you can. Not. If you can see me, say, yes, we can see you. Thanks, Sarah. Here's the thing, guys. All your dreams come true when you make the decision to make them come true. I love saying that because it's the truth. Make the decision. Put a line in the sand and go, I'm going for it. I'm playing full out. From this moment forward, I'm going to make my life count better than it's ever counted. And by the way, your life doesn't have to be in a toilet to make it better. You can make it better from where you are, whatever place you're at. All your dreams come true when you make the decision to make them come true. Make the decision to be on tomorrow's call. We'll start at 9:30 a.m. Brisbane time. The playback will be available for you hopefully today, because I actually remembered to record. I didn't have to record it again. And I will get that out to you ASAP. You can always go back, and yesterday's call is up for the replay if you want to watch that again, or if you weren't on yesterday's call. And like I said to you yesterday, is the replays are going to be up for like 30 days, and I'm going to take them down. Why am I doing that? To get you to take the action and not put them on a back burner. So until I talk with you again, which is tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., have a most outstanding day.